what is use of an arrow function in React. So basically an arrow function is used to write an expression in React. It allows users to manually bind components easily. The functionality of arrow function can be very useful when you are working with higher order functions particularly. So basically arrow function which is introduced in ES6, which is we can say it is basically a just concise way to write a function rather than the traditional function, which is looks more simpler than the traditional function. We can write this function without using the function keyword. Like I am going to create here one arrow function like const. We can say anything like add. This is a variable add. With the help of keyword const we declare. In that I am going to store, this is a one function, this is our function add, and what does it return, like return 2 plus 3. This is how we can say the arrow function look like, and I am going to differentiate in between these two functions. Like this is our traditional function, we just declare with like this keyword like function, like this is sub function, our sub function, so it just return 3 minus or 1. So this is how this is what the difference in between this. So this is the arrow function and this is a traditional function. So we can call it like this directly add, or in this we also call it like this sub. So what does it will give a result, this add function will give a result like 5, whereas this sub will give a result 2. So this is how, but this is how both the function work, and the what is the main difference in between this. Then next one is the what is higher order components in React. So basically higher order components are widely used technique in React for applying concepts that involve the component reusability logics. Then they are not a native part of React API and allow user to easily reuse the code and bootstrap abstraction. So basically with the help of this higher order function we can reuse the code again and again, and we can also perform the abstraction by using this higher order function. And then higher order components are also used to allow simple sharing of behaviors across all the components in React, adding more advance to the efficiency and functionality of the application. So with the help of what we can do, we can show the behaviors across the component in React. So basically it simply means higher order components are the components which we can say simply which may take another function as a parameter, or which may return another components as a result. So we can say it is a higher order functions, or it may be a higher order components which may reuse the logic of another components in that component. We can also say that it is a higher order components. Then next one is the what is the meaning of the create React app in React. So the create React app is React in a simple command line interface that is used in creation of React application which have no build configuration. So by using this CMD, or we can say the command, what we can do, we can create a React application. Then all tools are pre-configured when using the CLI, and this allows users to focus on the code more than on the dependency to develop a application. Then next one important question is the what are some of the advantages of using create React app in application. So it basically support for the JSX, ES6 and flow statements, already built and ready auto prefix CSS. Then it is a fast interactive testing components. It is a live development serves that help in debugging. Then it also scripts to handle JSS and JS, CSS and other files. Then what is Redux? So basically Redux is used to store the state application in a single entity. This simple entity is usually a JavaScript object. Changing state can be done by pushing out actions from the application and writing corresponding object for them that are used to modify the state. So basically we can say Redux is basically a library. What we can do with the help of this, we can globally manage the data, or it stores the data globally. Also with the help of, we can manage the all the state of the application, which also provides some inbuilt method, so we get all the access of this method by using the Redux. It is used for generally complex state management and all these things. Then next one is the, what is the difference between the props and state. So conditions, changes in child components, parent component changing values, then changes inside components. So these are the factor. So it is changes in child components. So in props, what we can do, it changes the child component, so we pass the as a props. So then it state parent component changing values. Yeah, so by using these props, parent components can change the value. So answer is yes, whereas state cannot change. So the answer is no. Changes inside components, so yeah, it cannot change, and in state we can change it or update it. So this is the difference in between these two. So it simply means that props are readable, whereas states are readable as well as writable. Props work in two components, or we can pass it from one component to another component. In the case of state, we cannot pass it or use it outside of the component, but what we can do, we can update it. Like this it works. Then what are the 3 pages of component life cycle in React? So there are mainly 3 phases, like initial rendering, updating and unmounting. So we can say initial rendering, another name is like mounting also, like initial rendering, this is the first phase, or we can say it is a mounting phase also, that involves the beginning of the journey of the component to the DOM. Then update, here are some components can be updated and rendered again if required after it gets added to the DOM. The next phase for this dynamic component is the we can say updation. If there is any changes happen, so it provides some method for the updation, as well as some methods for initial rendering. We can say mounting also, like is update, and all these methods are present in this phase. Then unmounting, the final phase involves the destruction of the component and its eventual removal from the DOM. So when function did its tasks with the requirement, then what does it? Remove that the function from the component. Then next one is the, what are the events in React? Whenever there are whenever there are actions performed in React, such as hovering on mouse or pressing a key of the keyboard, this action trigger events. Events is we can say events is just like something has happened, like if we click or submit the form, so we can say this is one type of submit event, or we just render another page, so it just are the event that something different is happened, like hovering, it just change its color from one to another. We can say it is also one type of event. Pressing a enter key, these all are the comes into the event part. Events then perform set activities as a response to the triggers. Handling an event in React is very similar to in the DOM architecture. Then next question is the, how is routing in React different from the conventional routing? So we will see the how routing works in React pages. Each view is considered as a new file in conventional routing, while is considered as a single HTML entity in React. Then navigation. Then in conventional routing, users have to move across web pages for viewing. Then in React, views are not refreshed as the objects are reissued through the create new views. Then next question is the what is the difference between Flux Redux in React? So basically components connected to the Flux in React, container component directly connect. Then dispatcher has a dispatcher. In Redux there is no dispatcher. Number of stores, single store, whereas in Redux we can create a multiple stores. In the phase of like state, it has the mutable state in Flux, whereas in Redux there are the immutable state. Then this we can say storage contains state and logic. It contains state and logic and separate. That's all for today. Thank you.